This Week with Bob Mueller on News 2.
This week,
no politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
the first and maybe only televised debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
Because abortion is healthcare, contraceptives is healthcare, IVF is healthcare, and they need to keep religion out of the laws here.
The 2-year anniversary of the overturning of Roe is marked by protests from pro-choice advocates in Tennessee.
We fully anticipated that it would be challenged from a legal and a constitutional standpoint.
Tennessee law bans transgender affirming care to minors. Now the Supreme Court will decide if that law is legal. More in our This Week cover story.
You're gonna never be able to stop it, but we know how to reduce it if you just give us the opportunity.
And gun violence is now considered a public health crisis, according to the U.S. Surgeon General. Hello again, and welcome to another edition of This Week. Biden and Trump debate in Atlanta. Cheers and boos mark the 2-year anniversary of the overturning of Roe. Tennessee banned gender-affirming care to minors. The Supreme Court will now have a say in the matter. But we begin with gun violence, now considered a public health crisis, according to the U.S. Surgeon General.
Gun violence have taken 3 people from me now. First it was my own son in 2003, then it was my nephew in 2014, and now it's my niece in 2024.
Clemmy Greenlee has seen the extensive reach gun violence has had not only on her life, but hundreds of others in Nashville and surrounding states. Greenlee is the founder of Nashville Peacemaker, a nonprofit focused on curtailing violence in the community. Ever since she lost her own son in a gang-related shooting, she's dedicated her life towards a change.
You're gonna never be able to stop it, but we know how to reduce it if you just give us the opportunity.
On Tuesday, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy announced gun violence is now considered a public health crisis. Halfway into the year, Metro Police recorded 36 fatal shootings, 164 non-fatal shootings, and 1,780 violent crimes committed with the threat of a firearm. Greenlee says when it comes to future state and city conversations, community members at the heart of the crisis need a seat at the table.
How can you have Stop the Violence seminars and you don't even have people from the real community at your table?
I think that's a huge thing, is like first getting people aware of what's happening.
It has almost become normalized.
Greenlee hosts a weekly support group in the Rock United Church for mothers over murder who lost a loved one to violence. Today, high school students from all over the country with Catholic Heartwork heard her story and are helping to create a bright space for the Nashville community to heal. In Nashville, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.
Tennessee pharmacists are working to expand education and access to vaccines, especially in rural areas where health care might not be accessible. The Tennessee Pharmacists Association worked with pharmacies in all 95 Tennessee counties to help administer close to 35,000 vaccines over the past year and a half through the Closing the Gap initiative. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner explains the impact.
In the quiet rural corners of Tennessee, access to health care can be a daily challenge. Some communities looking to their local pharmacies as safe havens. Inside, there's a hum of conversations about health care, including the value of vaccines.
Vaccines are a critical piece to the public health of our state, of our county, of any community.
Education and expanded access to immunizations, the focus of the Tennessee Pharmacists Association's initiative, Closing the Gap. With funding from the Department of Health, the goal for the past year and a half was to help unvaccinated and under-vaccinated Tennesseans get accurate information about vaccines and get their shots through pharmacies across the state.
When we have research that demonstrates the value of what an injection does to help prevent various types of diseases, it's a critical piece.
Local pharmacists gave nearly 35,000 vaccines across all 95 counties through Closing the Gap. Almost half the shots given were for the flu, but the initiative also increased vaccine rates for COVID, herpes, RSV, and pneumonia shots. The program also educating pharmacists on how to talk to patients about vaccine hesitancy, helping facilitate more than 52,000 conversations about the problem. That, according to the Tennessee Pharmacists Pharmacists Association only got worse due to the pandemic.
There was always questions that individuals had about the effectiveness and the value of vaccines. I think what happened through the pandemic, it just spurred more questions.
Closing the gap, proving pharmacists do more than just dispense medication. They're key healthcare providers in the community. Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
The results are in, and nearly 60% of Tennessee 3rd and 4th graders are not reading at grade level. And for 3rd and 4th grade readers, their TCAP score isn't just another grade.
With another school year in the books, are the majority of Tennessee's 3rd and 4th graders reading at grade level? The answer: not quite. According to the latest TCAP English Language Arts grades, statewide, 41% of 3rd graders were proficient in the subject, 1 percentage point higher than the year prior. 4th graders saw higher levels of proficiency. 46% did get a passing score on the TCAP English test, 2% better than the year prior. But every school district was different. In one of the state's fastest growing districts, Rutherford County, 3rd grade English Language Arts proficiency remained about the same, from 45.4% passing the test in 2023 to 45.7% passing this year. But 4th grade saw a larger improvement. 3% more students passed this year compared to last. This heightened attention on 3rd and 4th grade English test results came in 2021, when state lawmakers began debating and crafting controversial laws to hold back 3rd and 4th graders who didn't get a passing grade on the TCAP. According to experts and published studies, failure to read at grade level by the 3rd grade is linked to higher dropout rates. In a statement, Governor Bill Lee said, "Our strategic education investments have resulted in steady growth for Tennessee students. We remain committed to empowering families with multiple pathways to achievement so every child can succeed."
And the two men who want to win the White House, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, face off in the first and possibly only televised debate.
It was a stage swapped out for a television studio in hopes the theatrics would stay home, and for the most part, it worked. But much of this debate, unlike any other, had the familiar fireworks of 4 years ago.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
For 90 minutes, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump were peppered with questions on the issues impacting Americans. Trump has pulled stronger on immigration and the economy.
The jobs went down and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No. He inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months.
Polling suggests Biden has the edge on issues related to political extremism and abortion.
No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Supporters and surrogates for each candidate made their presence known around this crucial battleground state of Georgia. At stake, millions of voters unenthused by their choices. The next and final presidential debate, hosted by ABC News, is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Atlanta.
We heard immediate reaction from political leaders here in Tennessee about the debate. This Democratic Tennessee Senate Minority Leader, Senator Rakhmush Akbari, said, quote, "Black jobs and apparently President Biden is paid by China. The Trump lies are getting wilder and wilder." Republican State House Majority Leader William Lamberth said, quote, "Thousands, millions, billions, trillions. It is embarrassing that Biden can't even keep straight how many zeros go with which of his failing policies." Republican Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn said this is an hour into the debate that Biden's team has decided he had a cold to cover for his senile performance. And she also added tonight was a massive win for President at real Donald Trump. It could not be more clear Trump will make America great again. Republican Congressman from Tennessee Tim Burchett had this to say: "We should all pray for Joe Biden." On a lighter note, from Democratic State Senator Charlene Oliver, me watching this debate. Now to our This Week cover story. It is Tennessee law, but is it legal to ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors? That will now be up to the U.S. Supreme Court to decide. News 2's Adam Mincer with more.
The issue that sparked protests and rallies in Tennessee to now be settled by the highest court in the country.
These people here, they don't want you to hear
Tennessee's 2023 law banning gender-affirming care makes it illegal to provide medical care like puberty blockers, hormone therapies, and surgeries to transgender minors. Tennessee is one of more than 20 states with a law like this on the books. Republican State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson is proud to have helped craft it.
We fully anticipated that it would be challenged from a legal and a constitutional standpoint. So this is not a huge surprise. And we believe it's important that the Supreme Court take up a case such as this. I'm very proud that the law that we passed in Tennessee will be the test case.
While the ACLU is not challenging the surgery ban portion of the law, saying surgeries on minors aren't happening in Tennessee, they are bringing their case against the other parts of the law to the Supreme Court, saying the ban ignores medical experts' advice.
This isn't quick evaluation and treatment. These take years, and they see many medical professionals before they ever start any kind of gender-affirming treatment.
The ACLU is also arguing that because these treatments are allowed in situations not related to gender-affirming care, this is also a sex discrimination case. Senator Johnson strongly disagrees.
And these drugs can be extremely harmful. There are medical cases where they are warranted and necessary. And in Tennessee, those drugs are completely legal for those medicinal and medical needs. But whenever it comes to gender dysphoria or gender confusion, those decisions should be made later.
Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti will be arguing in favor of the law and its ban. In a statement, he said this case will bring much needed clarity to whether the Constitution contains special protections for gender identity. According to the ACLU, the Supreme Court is not expected to hear arguments in this case until next fall. In Nashville, Adam Mintzer, News 2.
I almost didn't make it because I couldn't get this earlier.
It's the reality Eli Givens is faced with, especially remembering life growing up in the South.
I came out to myself around 10 or 11. I would have come out earlier, but again, I just didn't have the words for it. Yeah, when I was younger, I knew I felt a bit different from everybody else. I didn't know why. I didn't have a specific reason. I just thought I was odd.
And that odd feeling grew into something more, which led Eli on a journey, ultimately ending with gender-affirming surgery at just 17 years old.
When I discovered top surgery was a thing I could do, I was like, oh, that's kind of like what I've been looking for.
Eli identifies as non-binary, meaning when you ask what Eli's gender is, it's neither man or woman.
It is so wonderful, and it's very bittersweet to know that a lot of the people that I know will not be able to have the same experience I had, because I was 17, I got it at Vanderbilt, and now that that's being blocked, it's like, wow.
Tennessee is one of more than 20 states with a gender-affirming care ban on the books. Tennessee's 2023 law makes it illegal to provide medical care like puberty blockers, hormone therapies, and surgeries to transgender minors.
You shouldn't be making decisions about your body, be it surgically or medicinally, that are irreversible when you're not even old enough to vote or be an emancipated adult.
State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, one of the people who helped craft that law. Now, whether or not it remains a law is up to the highest court in the country. The case going before the Supreme Court involves a 15-year-old transgender girl from Nashville. Her family alleges that the state ban violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment.
Also deals with these extremely harmful drugs that were being prescribed to minors, to children, to halt their development, their puberty. And so ultimately, the hope is that the Supreme Court will affirm the Intermediate Appellate Court's decision and allow our law to continue to be in effect.
And the case is set to be heard this fall as Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says he looks forward to defending the law already in place.
Stay with us. This week continues in a moment.